So when we left off, we had just exported this information, number of incidents per those different fire stations. We'd export that into an Excel sheet that we were getting ready to import into another set of data that we'll be working with. So let's just kind of minimize both of these, and let's go get our two spreadsheets open in SPSS because we're going to try to merge some data together. Okay. If we go back to our D2L homepage, we've got these different data out here. Remember this 50 counties data that we used before? We have that same data, but it's already set up in SPSS, and so that's where we're going to start now. We're going to download and let that run. I'm going to then open it. Let me just single click and let's see if it'll pull up. Okay. So this opens up into those 507 stations that we were going to work with. Okay, so we have 507 stations. We have different information about them that came from that NFIRS census. Okay, so we have that open. At this point, I don't need this. We do have that old database, right, that had all of those kind of 280,000 variables in it. We don't need that anymore, so you can save that to your desktop. I just saved it as pols6123 project 1 sample. But I'm going to get rid of that one. So I'm going to say file. Let me see if I can just close it. So I'll close that one. That'll leave our SPSS output file, and it'll leave that one I just downloaded with the 507. Okay. Now, I need to import this file with the count data in it. So I need to get that into SPSS format. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to open up the SPSS data editor window. I'm going to open this one. I'm going to tell it to go to my desktop. I'm going to tell it to look for Excel sheets. And we'll see two of them, pols6123 ST count, so station count. Let's click that and open it. We're going to open this and read it, and let's see what we get. Okay, so we've got two variables here. Let me click on the variable view tab. This is FDID2. It's a string with a width of 7, and that's exactly what we need. This variable is actually not wrong, so we're going to change this one. I'm going to say n incidents. And it can be 11, doesn't really matter what it is, but I'll just change that variable. All right, so FDID2, n incidents, and I'm going to save this one. I'm going to go up here, File, Save As, pols6123-st count, and not XLS. I'll just save it as a SAV file, and it'll go to the desktop. One other thing I'm going to do while I'm in here is I'm going to kind of go up here to hit data, and I'm going to sort cases, and I'm going to sort by FDID2. It's important, as we'll see in a bit. Minimize that, and let's minimize this. And let's actually minimize this, and I'll show you. We imported this spreadsheet, and we just saved it as an SPSS spreadsheet. So now we have two sources of data. We have the one with the ST count information in it. We have the other one with the 507 stations in it. And so what I want to do is I want to import that station count into this big database here. Right. To do that, the first thing I need to do is sort this 507 station one. So we're going to sort cases. We're going to go by FDID2. We're going to sort by that variable that we're going to match on. So we've got that accomplished now. I'm going to use this particular command off the data menu that's called merge files, and we're going to add variables. Okay, so I'm in the data sheet for the 507 stations, Right? And what I want to do is I want to add that number of incidents variable to this sheet. So I'm going to go up here to Data, I'm going to merge files and add variables. Now it's going to go out there and look. If you already have the data open like we do, it'll pull up in this menu. If you don't have it open, it'll go look for it, and you can go look for it on a desktop or in a folder or somewhere else. But we've got it open, so we'll continue there. What it does is it goes through and it looks for all the variables in those two sheets, and it kind of adds them together. It's going to tell you it's going to merge all this together. The one variable that exists in both of those sheets is over here, FDID2. So I'm going to click on this, match cases. I'm going to put non-active data set is the keyed variable. Just leave it in there for now. And what it'll do is all the way down here, number of incidents is positive. It's just going to simply add that incident count variable into this bigger 507 database. Okay, so we're going to key on the FDID identifier. We're going to tell it to go out there and match on that key. All right, and we're going to simply try to add this one in. Let's see if this works properly. Okay, so once we're done there, let's go down and let's see if it worked. All right, we have 507 still in this data sheet. But let's go out and take a look at the last one. Out here, you'll see that it added the number of incidents, and we've got some missing ones, right? As we expected, because we only have 422 versus this one. Okay. So what we might be interested now in, which ones are missing, right? So let's take a quick look. Best way to do that is go into variable view. Let's click on number of incidents, and let's bring this all the way to the top. I'm going to put it in between the FIPS code and the county. Okay, and I'll go back here. And it looks like we're missing a couple in Maricopa County, Avondale. Actually, let's move this one down. Let's put the number of incidents to this station. All right, so we put the number of incidents here. So that's not too bad. Tolson, we're missing that one in Maricopa County. Let's see. Pima County. Missing one or so in Los Angeles. So we get a sense again that we're not getting all of these stations reporting. So again, we may have some issues with reliability of the data. In particular, we may have a problem with San Diego County. Looks like we're missing several stations there. Broward County, not too bad there. Cook County looks pretty decent. St. Louis County's got some missing ones. Here's the problem. Allegheny County, this is Pittsburgh, they don't have any reported. So we're going to be missing, as you see when we eventually report this as counties, we only end up with 47 counties out of our 50. One of them, and Petey is outside barking. I knew Petey was eventually going to make his way into one of these videos. So we're going to be missing Allegheny County. That could be a problem, but for now we're just going to go with our 47 counties. Let's see which other ones we're missing. Tarrant County, Texas, King County, Washington, Milwaukee, etc. So we know at least we're going to be missing Allegheny County. Be interesting to see what else we miss. Okay, good. Okay, so after looking at these number of incidents data, we actually have some information coming back that we've got missing information, and because of that, I'm going to do a couple extra steps here that I hadn't planned on. But I was going back through the previous video, and I noticed one thing that may be confusing for some of you. I'm using kind of some wrong terminology. Even in the title of this particular web sheet, it's 507 stations. That's not exactly right. It's 507 departments, and underneath that, there's going to be several different stations. So apologies for that. Just that's layman's sloppy technique there. So, but this is 507 departments, and as we go through this this kind of spreadsheet or this data file, we'll see that we are missing several of them. Along those lines, what I want to do is I want to create a measure of a measure of weight, essentially. I want to know the proportion of departments that reported within these different counties, because that may be something that I want to weight my least squares regression with later. To do that, I'm going to need to calculate a couple variables, and to begin with, I'm going to put that number of incidents all the way back to where we had it. So I'm going to take number of incidents, I'm going to down click on it and hold, and I'm going to move it all the way back down. Okay. The next thing that I need to do is I need to create a couple of variables, and so up here on the transform menu is compute variable, and I'm going to put departments. And I'm just going to make that equal 1. All right. And out here in the ether, right, if we go out, we'll see that departments, and it just created a 1 variable for all of those, right, which is good. That's going to be my baseline measure in a minute here. Variable view, I may or may not want those 2, so let me just get rid of those 2 decimal places for now. Width is, okay, columns. Yeah, we'll make that 11. Okay. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to create a couple variables and show you how to use some missing value operators. And so the first one I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to do the ones where the departments are valid. Right, so I'm interested in having a dichotomous variable over here that indicates the number of valid entries here. So I'm going to compute a variable. I'm going to here make it, it's already cleared out, so let me do this. I'm going to say department reporting, DEPT, RPT. I'm going to say that's going to be equal to 1 if, and here I'm going to have to go find a string function. So down here you're going to go through and you're going to see this nice little function group called missing values. And these are really useful, and I use them at different points and I get confused by them, so I always make errors. So you always have to kind of look at what you did. But the first one that I'm going to do is this nvalid. And it'll tell you what it does over here. Returns a count of the arguments that have valid non-missing values, right? So it's going to go through and look at whether this has got a valid entry or not. So I'm going to put nvalid up. I'm going to arrow it up. And I'm interested in whether they're reporting incident data, right? So I'm going to hit continue. So I'm going to code that value as 1 if we have valid arguments for that incidence data. And let's minimize that. And lo and behold, it actually worked. Usually I have to do that about 15 different times to get it to work correctly. It may be that, on the other hand, you wanted to code whether it was missing. So let me show you a different string. Transform compute variable. Here what I'll do is I'll call it department miss. I'm going to say that's going to equal 1, and the string function I'm looking for is going to be a little bit different there. I'll go down to system missing again. I'm going to say system missing, maybe let's try that one. Returns 1 or true if the value of numer is system missing. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Let me try this. I'm going to put in number of incidents in that kind of function window. So I'm going to make department miss equals 1 if system missing if n incidents is system missing. Okay. And I actually managed to do something right for once. And that's not bad. So together we would have departments, we would have that same value. And we've got it coded both ways just in case we need it. We probably only need one of them coded. We could create the function that we need later or the equation that we need later with either one of them. But it's good to know how to use those different operators, and so I just did them. We're getting a little long on the YouTube video, so I'm going to end here. The next step is we're going to start using that Analyze Reports menu to kind of shrink this down into our 50 counties, and I believe, as we'll see, we'll have only 47. Okay, very good.